So I'd like to talk about breaking plateaus when it comes to speed playing. And what I mean by a plateau is basically you get to a certain point in your practice and you are just stuck. No matter what you do, you just cannot get any faster. So this happens a lot, and it's part of growing as someone who's trying to push themselves to be faster and faster. Now, there's several options that you can do to improve, and keep this in mind as well. When you are starting out, when you start playing, it's much easier to make really big gains in your speed because your body's able to adapt to things pretty quick when you first start out. Just like with bodybuilding, when you first start training, you're going to see a lot of increases happen. But eventually, your body is going to start getting to its limits, and it's going to start fighting back, and it's not going to let you get any further with what you're working on until you shake it up. So one thing in bodybuilding that we do is muscle confusion, and one of the ways we do that is we change up the exercises, whether it be just increasing the weights, changing the number of reps or number of sets. A lot of times it just matters, we can just change the type of exercise, and that will shock your body into further growth. The same thing can happen with playing. So a lot of times what happens, and I do with some students who we do a lot of metronome work together, is let's say you've hit a plateau and you need to get further. So one of the first things you can do, let's say you're working on a solo or scale, whatever. Once you get to the point on your metronome where you can't get any further, stop for a minute and then try it again. A lot of times what happens is you just need a little break, and then when you try it again, you've recovered a little bit. Same thing with weight training. You got to take some rest time in between your reps. So think of it as like a set. You're going to do sets. So like think of it this way. Try 5 sets when you're doing metronome practice. Take it as far as you can the first set. Stop for a minute. Try and take it a little bit further. Stop for a minute. And then take it further again. So sometimes taking those little breaks will allow you to push yourself further. So try that. Try 5 sets if you're at a plateau. Take it as far as you can with the metronome, and then rest 1 minute. Make sure you don't play anything for 1 minute. A lot of times when I tell a student to take a break from what we're working on, as soon as I turn the metronome off, they start playing it again. That's not taking a break. You don't take a rest interval in between squat sets by doing more squats. You got to stop. So make sure you don't play anything, okay? Another thing you can do, let's say like you're working on a difficult rhythm. I find it helpful to, once you get up to a particular speed on your metronome, and you can't, let's say like you're working on a gallop rhythm, which is basically, here I'll put the metronome on for this, and I'll just do an open E5 chord for this gallop here. We got... So say that's what you're working on, and you just can't get any faster at that. Well, what you can do, or maybe it's not just a matter of speed, but maybe it's a matter of accuracy. Let's talk about the accuracy there, because sometimes that happens. Like you can do really good at something for like 100 beats a minute, but as soon as you get to like 105, it just falls apart. So what you can do is you get up to that point where you're just barely getting it, and then start increasing the metronome by 1 beat per minute. Just increase it by 1 beat per minute. This way it's a really, really tiny increase, and you can barely tell the difference between a 1 beat per minute increase. And that's another reason why we use the metronome when we're practicing, because there's no way our minds can tell the difference between 100 beats a minute and 101 beat per minute. It's just too small of a difference. But that's why we use the metronome. So this is telling us what it is. So we just barely increase it at that point. So if you're working on a rhythm, if you're working on a lead, anything at all, that's another thing you can try and do. Take it up to that point, and so we can combine that. So like you did the 5 sets thing I just mentioned. So on that 5th set, you can take it to that point where you just can't get any faster. So, and then take it maybe back 5 to where you did get it correct, and then just start increasing it by 1 beat per minute. So that could help you break a plateau right there, just even smaller increases. The third way you could break a plateau is kind of staggering your beats per minute. So let's say you're getting up to like 100 on something that you're working on. So you get up to 100 beats per minute, that's usually your max. What you can do at that point is, you see yourself struggling, so drop it down 20. So you go up to 100 beats per minute, knock it back 20, and then try it again. So without taking a rest, just back it up a little bit and then keep pushing forward. I've seen that work quite a few times as well. Another thing you could try is staggering it even further. So let's say, now I'm going to sound like a little bit of a hypocrite here, but bear with me. Let's say you're trying to really shock your system and getting faster stuff. So let's say you start with 50, bump it up to 60, and then back it off 5. So you go 50, 60, 55, 65, 60, 70, 65. So you go up 10, back 5, up 10, back 5. So don't do that if you're just starting out with the metronome. Use that as something to help break the plateau, because I still believe going up by 5 is the best way, especially to start. But when it comes to breaking a plateau, sometimes doing something a little unorthodox is required. So hopefully one of those 3 ways will help you break a plateau. If you find that it's not helping, or if you have an idea of your own you'd like to share, please let me know. Send me an email. And thank you for watching.